AI Sports presents Let's Talk Football, with John Behrens and Josh Perkins. Check out AISportsNetwork.com.
Okay, another week before we really get into the high-profile games. I mean, USC played Washington. That was a close game. But I say the other big one that made the most headlines was the fact that North Carolina fell to Clemson by 1 point, and that's because they went for two and not for the tie.
I guess Mac Brown wanted to put a knife in it in regulation, but for Clemson, in the words of Jermaine Funny Main Johnson, struggle win. But it's still early in the season. I mean, of course, Clemson's going to keep a high intensity by themselves, being in the ACC.
Oh, okay. So next week we have Iowa facing off with Michigan. Michigan still hasn't really beaten nobody.
I mean, they won 52-0 against Rutgers.
Yay!
But Michigan fans,
they got the pants blown off of them by Wisconsin.
Yeah, but Michigan fans, calm down. You can go ahead and make a little noise if y'all can beat Iowa. I mean, Iowa's looking good this season. So if Michigan can knock off Iowa, and this is a home game at the Big House. So if Michigan could beat Iowa, then okay, fans, there's some stuff that you can smile about.
So we got a top 10 showdown in the SEC this coming weekend between 7th ranked Auburn and 10th ranked Florida. Both teams are currently undefeated, but both teams have LSU coming up very quickly.
I would have to give Auburn this matchup. Bo Nix, their true freshman quarterback, has really come into his own. He's really gotten very comfortable, but this is going to be his toughest test yet until he faces LSU. Florida both teams have stifling defenses. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to be. I'm interested to see how Bo Nix performs in the Swamp.
Yeah. We have another top 25 matchup. Number 4 Ohio State playing at Michigan State. I think is it no?
No, it's going to be at Ohio State.
Ohio. Okay.
Michigan State versus Ohio State. This is going to be Justin Fields' toughest test as well. Going against a very tough Michigan State defense. The only with Michigan State, their kryptonite is pretty much their own offense. An offense that's inconsistent and has a hard time moving the ball up and down the field. So, but not a whole lot. I mean, college football is still trying to get into full swing.
Well, like we said, starting next week, is really when we start to get into the conference play, and that is where the big games, the big matchups, the top 10 matchups, top 25 matchups, that's when we're going to start seeing more of them, as we just went through, I want to say 3 right there. So, we're still in the early season lull. Now we get into conference play. Now we get into just some serious games, and we should see some real close games, some real fun games, some hard action.
And the top 25 getting shaken up week after week.
Week after week. But let's talk the NFL. So we went into the weekend with 8 undefeated teams. Now there's 3.
Now those are the Patriots, the Chiefs, and
who's the other one?
I think we only have 2 undefeated teams.
No, it's 3. I'm gonna have to officially look that up.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
And the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners. Thank you. 49ers.
And the Niners. The Niners were actually on a bye this past weekend. What are some games that jumped out to you this past weekend?
Well, Titans versus the Falcons, 24-10.
That game really jumped out to me. It surprised me that the Titans were willing to go into Atlanta and handle the Falcons the way they did.
How is this team doing that poorly, though? This is the second straight time that the Falcons have started 1-3. Now they were able to salvage their season a little bit last year and finishing 7-9.
I think so.
But I mean, come on, man! You arguably have more talent on this roster than you have in a while, if not the most talented roster in franchise history. And like I said previously, you're still fewer rings than the bathtub. I mean, come on, man.
Like the Falcons, they're that beard that won't leave that wet ring on your table.
I want to believe in Coach Quinn. I really do.
I want to believe in him too.
Or should he go back to being a coordinator?
I think his time as a head coach is probably up.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The Falcons have a losing season again this year. He'll certainly be on the hot seat, without question. If they don't get rid of them, next year is all or bust.
Pretty much. It's
they at the very least need to make it back to the postseason, I would think, and win a game or two. Make some noise. Don't just go. No one and done performances. Get there and do something.
See, me personally, the game that stood out to me was last night's matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers.
Ow. I mean, two winless teams going together. Clearly,
no.
Bengals are terrible.
Well, the reason why it jumped out to me was the performance of Mason Rudolph. As we know, Big Ben is out for the rest of the season with his injury. And Big Ben has had a Hall of Fame career. He's been in the league for, 15 years?
Yeah.
And so this is around the time that this season is I mean, what better time than this season for the Steelers to start looking for prospects to be Big Ben's permanent replacement, to be a guy who can lead a new era in Pittsburgh, who can lead that offense along with James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster. Mason Rudolph showed flashes of potential last night. Yes, they were going against a Bengals team that is pretty bad. But this can be a game that the Steelers can build upon. This can be a game that the Steelers can look back on if the Steelers end up having a prolific season, if the Steelers can end up making a surge, making a huge push in the season. It started with Mason Rudolph's stellar performance against the Cincinnati Bengals, something that to build their confidence up. I mean, the defense was amazing last night. The offense performed very well. James Conner was as versatile as ever last night. So that's why that game stood out to me, was because of how the Steelers came together. They were 0-3 going to this game. They needed something to happen, and they pulled off a 27-3 victory over Cincinnati. Like I said, I know Cincinnati's bad. This should be nothing that the Steelers should celebrate about. But this is Mason Rudolph's first win as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So just imagine how much confidence that builds for him going forward into the season. And, I mean, if he can lead the Steelers to a winning record, if he can lead Steelers to some success this season, then this offense is going to be in good hands after Big Ben leaves.
Yeah. So, okay. The Patriots and Bills went head-to-head, and Patriots unsurprisingly won, but the Bills held them to 16 points. This was an offense that everybody was hailing as being so great. Okay.
Well, what's so surprising is that the Bills held the Patriots on 16 points, despite the Bills coughing up the ball, 3 times?
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Allen threw 3 picks in the first half and was taken out.
That is a legit defense by the Buffalo Bills.
So, I mean, that's a testament to, how competitive the Bills can be in a division this season.
Well, still, it's the offense. The offense lacks the ability to consistently move the ball down the field. And no, I don't think quarterback's the issue. I really can't say quarterback's the issue until I see the Bills with a legitimate number one threat.
And that's something they don't really have. And also, I want to see consistent rushing attack by the Bills.
That too, which they got rid of LeSean McCoy.
I'm shady.
So the Bills have this amazing Super Bowl quality defense, but they can't score.
And when you're going against the Patriots team, you gotta be able to score. But I mean, with the Bills, here's something that they can build upon, and is the fact that they have a bona fide defense that held Tom Brady and the Patriots at only 16 points, despite the offense giving up the ball 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to give the Bills credit for one thing. They are legitimately a playoff contender this year.
Oh, without a doubt. It's what I'm worried about is the condition of Josh Allen going forward. He was taken out the game last Sunday, so for the Bills' sake, I hope Josh Allen is all right.
Another team that I want to talk about is a little bit of a surprise, and that is the Detroit Lions. They have officially beaten the Eagles and the Chargers. They went into LA and beat the Chargers, and then beat.
They took the Chiefs to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they took the Chiefs to the fourth quarter, so they clearly got something going on. I think one of the problems that they have is clearly they're unable to finish long drives. And then you had a fumble party in the third quarter in that game against the Chiefs, which I don't know what happened there. It was like fumble. I think it was 5 fumbles between the two teams in the third quarter alone.
They're playing a game of hot potato.
I could be wrong about this statistic, but I know there was a lot of fumbles in the third quarter. There was a lot of fumbles in the game, period.
And I mean, looking at how the Lions are playing so far this season, it seems that Matt Patricia might be up to something out there in Detroit. I mean, he probably has a formula for Detroit to actually be able to succeed.
It does seem like Matthew Stafford is finally starting to build some chemistry with Marvin Jones and Galladay. And Hawkinson's the legit real deal.
I mean, that's why they got him in the first round. I mean, when they first got him in the first round, I'm just like, why would you get a tight end as your first round pick and you have all these needs? But I'm starting to see why they got him. And he has definitely become a huge threat out there in the field for the Lions. So expect to see massive improvement by this Lions squad this season. If they can keep doing what they're doing, they just got to be able to finish.
Another thing I want to talk about, the quarterback that everybody laughed at coming into the season is now officially 2-0.
Daniel Jones. Everybody, and there's a lot of displeasure from Giants fan when Daniel Jones got drafted. And Giants fans, they wanted Dwayne Haskins. Hey, Giants fans, did y'all know that y'all picked off Dwayne Haskins 3 times in last Sunday's matchup? Did y'all know that Daniel Jones would lead y'all to he's 2-0 right now as your starting quarterback?
I just realized that.
It's interesting how the tables turn, right?
I just realized that. The Giants beat the Redskins.
Yeah, the Giants originally they first wanted Giants fans wanted Dwayne Haskins to be their quarterback. They ended up getting Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones beat out the guy that they had wanted at first. Mm-hmm. So Daniel Jones right now, he's proven himself without a shadow of a doubt.
Can you imagine what would have happened had they held on to Beckham?
This Giants team would actually be probably a legitimate threat in the NFC, maybe. And if Barkley was healthy.
Dude, I mean, they're going to get Barkley back eventually. I mean, they're 2-2. Philly's 2-2. Washington's 0-4 now.
And Dallas is 3-1.
Dallas is officially 3-1.
So with the exception of Washington, this is probably anybody's division. So the NFC East can be a 3-way fight to the finish.
All right, and then a few more things I want to touch up on. Seattle is looking really good. Yeah, they beat up on a Cardinals team that is still a joke, but they're 3-1 after taking a shellacking from the Saints last week.
But also, when I say Larry Legend, I mean Larry Legend. Larry Fitzgerald, after last Sunday's game, now has the second most receptions in NFL history. So when I say Larry Legend, I mean Larry Legend.
And they are officially tied atop the NFC West now with Los Angeles Rams, who allowed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to hit them with 55
Which
points.
I don't know how you do that. I mean, it's one thing to have such an overrated defense and then lose a couple of guys, at that. It's another thing to give up 55 points to a team led by a crab leg 11 quarterback.
Yeah. So, also, okay, moving on to now another surprise to me, the what is becoming a rather resurgent Jacksonville Jaguars.
Minshew mania. I'm loving this Gardner Minshew guy.
Gordon Minshew, yeah, he's looking surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good considering he came from a Mike Leach system.
Well, not just that, but I mean, rookie straight out of the gate, doing really well. I don't know if it's because the Jaguars still have a fairly decent defense, even though they've lost some pieces to it over the last few off seasons.
Right. But also, what I'm very impressed about is finally seeing Leonard Fournette coming alive, rushing for 225 against the Broncos.
We're 0-4.
And this was supposed to be a Broncos team that was poised to make some noise in the AFC because, I mean, you have a bona fide defense led by one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, and Vic Fangio, and it's just in these losses, the Broncos have been competitive, and I want to say each and every single one of these losses, they've been competitive, and it's always going down to the wire. But these Broncos can't finish.
I mean, I would argue that they are making some noise. Of course, it's all belches and farts, but they are making noise. They are. I mean, at least Flacco's not giving them any flack.
I'm gonna take this headset and just throw it at him.
All right, and the last game I want to talk about is the team that everybody thought was being overhyped at first, but now seems to be finding itself, and that is the Cleveland Browns. Shutting down, not just the Browns' offense coming alive, but the defense performing pretty well.
I mean, they were able to force some turnovers against the Baltimore Ravens. And Baltimore Ravens, this was an offense that really definitely came alive from week one. And so the Browns found a way to contain Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram out there on the field. Jarvis Landry was an animal. 8 catches for 167 yards.
Well, Nick
Chubb, good God. Nick Chubb, just his speed. And I was looking at him running. I'm just like, that's truly Georgia Bulldog bred right there.
And, I mean, if they could just get Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield officially going, Browns will be the team I think everybody expected by mid-season.
It just takes a while for a lot of teams to catch their stride. But, I mean, I still have a lot of faith in this Browns team. They're 2-2. And
which I must say officially puts them for tied at first.
Top of the AFC North.
AFC North.
So
and the last thing I want to touch up on before we wrap this up, every team, all 4 of the teams in the AFC South are 2-2.
Oh wow!
So that's
Houston. That's Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, and Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of expected.
It might as well be 0-0.
I mean, it's most like this division. AFC South is probably the most competitive division in all of the NFL. Basically, you don't know who's going to take it, and they're constantly at each other's necks. All 4 teams. So
is it? Here's a question though: is it really they're that competitive, or they're that mediocre?
I think at this point, I think that they're just that competitive. I mean, you look at what the Titans did in Atlanta. I mean, you're looking at what Indy is doing so far. Yes, they lost to Oakland, but to be able to have some type of success right now, even without Andrew Luck, I mean, you look at, I know Houston lost to Carolina, but also Houston, didn't Houston beat the LA Chargers?
Yeah, they did.
And they took the New Orleans Saints to the final drive.
Mhm.
A Saints team with Drew Brees. I mean, I think that they're that competitive. All four teams are starting to kind of come alive a little bit. They're starting to find their stride a little bit.
All right. Well, it was you asked me, it was a rather eventful weekend in the NFL and not so eventful at college level, which is kind of still expected this early in the season, just 4 games in, or I think college is officially 5 games in now. But we're finally going to start getting into more competitive conference play in college, and the NFL season is always entertaining from start to finish. So looking forward to more there. But I want to thank you for joining us this week, and we look forward to anyone who watches next week or tunes in or whatever you're doing, listening to it, watching it. I don't care as long as you're tuning in. I'm John.
I'm Josh.
And this is the AI Sports production. Signing out.